Whether you want to become a professional player, get a job in esports, or even start your own esports business or team, you will inevitably have moments where you feel completely defeated. Whether it's from getting kicked off a team, losing in important tournaments, failing to get hired, or seeing your business hit obstacle after obstacle, you will get thrown into situations where you question if esports is really for you. Now, the unfortunate truth is that many people who end up in these situations quickly lose motivation and confidence. Even if they persevere, they do so with less energy and drive. Then, as more problems come up, they start to see quitting as an increasingly better option. Now, one way you can think of it is like a health bar, but for your motivation. And with every failure and mistake, it gets drained more and more until it's completely depleted. But those who are the most successful in esports have the opposite reaction. They struggle with great problems and experience setbacks that make them even question their own career, yet come out of it more motivated to succeed. Each failure seems to add to their motivation bar until it is completely maxed out. So, what kind of mindset do they have, and how can you gain it? Well, there's no one better to learn this mindset from than Jason Lake, an esports veteran who has demonstrated immense perseverance as he pushed through some of the most dire situations in esports history. And in doing so, he successfully built Complexity Gaming into one of the most popular esports organizations in the world. And from his personal experiences and his time working closely with hundreds of professional esports players, Jason was able to teach me the mindset necessary if you want to make it in esports. The exact same mindset that you will need to develop if you're going to succeed. Imagine for a moment that you went all in on esports, that you made the greatest sacrifices, gave up many other opportunities, and put it all on the line for your true passion. Now imagine that after doing all that, it all came crashing down. But briefly, what was perhaps one of the hardest parts of your career, and what do you think was the mindset that helped you get through it?
In 2008, I sold my law firm, decided to go all in on esports. I moved my family from Atlanta to Los Angeles to film the second season of the Championship Gaming series on DirecTV. And we did that. We were settling into LA. And then that summer, the economy completely tanked. And that early November, they announced that they canceled the league. So now I found myself in California where I wasn't licensed to practice law. I had sold my law firm. And now the esports company I worked for was out of business. So I was like unemployed the first time in my adult life. And now I had 2 kids and a wife. And I'm like, man, this is not a good spot. Against the advice of many awesome people who love me very much, I decided to restart Complexity. And they're like, just walk away from it, go get another real job. And you got bills to pay. You got 2 kids and a wife. But I restarted Complexity anyway. And I think people that are successful in life quite often have this tenacity. They have a perseverance.
When things go wrong, you can either let it drain you of your confidence and motivation, or you can deal with it in a way that fuels you towards growth. But most people don't really realize that they have this option. In fact, you are likely familiar with the term post-traumatic stress, when someone continues to feel negative emotions towards a problematic event even after resolving it. But you are likely less familiar with the term post-traumatic growth. This occurs when someone endures a challenging life experience but is positively changed from it. An extreme example may be someone who fights off a life-threatening illness and comes out the other end with a greater appreciation for everything and everyone around them. Now, of course, when your career in esports is on the line, it won't be as extreme as life and death, but the idea still stands. When things go wrong and you endure the greatest adversities, you can actually use the experience to change in a positive way. Now, knowing this is the major first step. Since we often embrace setbacks with the mindset of helplessness, every issue, whether small or large, seems to take away our sense of confidence and drive. But knowing that it's possible to find growth and gratitude after a significant loss or failure can help you to reframe it in your mind. Now, one of my favorite demonstrations of this mindset comes from the famous Japanese samurai Miyamoto Musashi. When visiting a temple, rather than praying for safety and an easy journey, he would instead pray for hardship, wishing to be tested and challenged to improve his mental strength. And the core idea behind this is that our biggest fear as humans is suffering. When the potential of a negative outcome means that there's potential for suffering, we become fearful and less confident. But if we can endure hard suffering with a calm mindset, then we can overcome that fear altogether and ultimately become more mentally resilient. But enduring hardship and knowing that mental growth is possible is really just the first step. To claim that growth, you need to have the proper mental preparation.
There's one thing you can count on. Life is going to kick you in the stomach multiple times. You have to be prepared for that. You have to decide in advance, how am I going to respond when life kicks me hard right in the stomach and I can't breathe and I'm panicking and I don't know what I'm going to do. And if you prepare your mindset in advance for that and already have been practicing and reinforcing how you're going to react to difficult circumstances, when they happen, you're like, this sucks, but I knew something like this was coming and I've already prepared how I'm going to plan, how I'm going to react. I'm going to go hide in the closet and cry the rest of my life. I'm going to shed my tears. I'm going to put them behind me. I'm going to go back out and kick ass. You got to claw in this life. You got to fight in this life. You got to battle in this life. Life is a battle. And if you understand that and have that type of mindset, nothing's going to be able to keep you down for long. If you're not preparing yourself to get kicked in the stomach, if you're not, like I said earlier, playing chess instead of checkers, if you're not looking down the corridor of time and playing game theory, a lot of things could go wrong. Here's how I'm going to react. Here's how and playing that through in your mind, you're setting yourself up for bad things.
Being mentally prepared means accepting that things can go wrong, rather than hiding from them and letting unrealistic expectations shatter under the weight of reality. Now, the famous Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius famously wrote to begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." Now, in this recommendation, he's not being pessimistic and trying to see the world as a more negative place than it really is. Instead, he's preparing himself for the negative things that could happen so that he doesn't react emotionally when things really do get hard. And by recognizing the likely difficulties ahead and preparing for them mentally, we can become far more resilient when they come, and we can already have a plan for how exactly we'll react to them. In other words, by preparing mentally, we gain the ability to brace for the impact before things go wrong, thus taking away much of the negative power and surprise that comes from the setbacks. But this leads us to one of the biggest keys for controlling your mindset.
You always want to stay optimistic. Self-talk is a very powerful thing. You have to always stay optimistic and positive. You can never extinguish the hope that you have within you, but you can't be, all roses and tulips and flowers. Like, you have to understand life's going to kick me, but I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to stay resilient. I'm going to fight. I'm going to claw, and no matter what it takes. And if you have these self-talk in your head where you're like, oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're never going to make it. Oh, you're a failure. You've already lost. Period. You got to start with how you talk to yourself, maintaining your optimism, and then preparing for the inevitable difficult times I think that you're going to run into in the future.
Now, optimism is not about painting a fake picture of reality. It's instead about choosing which reality you want to see, kind of like an optical illusion. For example, consider the optical illusion like the famous image called "My Wife and Mother-in-Law." Now, at first, when you look at it, you might either see the old woman or the young woman, but you probably don't see both right away. But when you give it a little more time, you might eventually see the other image, and you'll quickly be able to switch between which one your eye fixates on. And this is not unlike reality. In many situations, we first see a negative reality, whether that's getting deranked or failing to land a significant opportunity. But when we apply a bit of effort, we can begin to see that there's another reality that's equally true, just a bit harder to recognize. For example, a lost match might suddenly be reframed in your mind as an opportunity to learn from critical mistakes that have been probably holding you back from reaching a higher rank. Or getting kicked off a team might actually be an opportunity for you to improve your skills for a few weeks on your own, and then try out for a team that's way better and can help you grow more as a player. So start to recognize when a negative mindset or negative self-talk comes up and replace it with a different perspective. Rather than saying, "Oh man, I really suck today," notice the opportunity for growth and say, "Oh man, I really need to practice my tracking skills." Rather than, "Oh man, I hate my teammates for not trying, for giving up and being aggressive," consider asking yourself, how can I motivate my team to play better, play more defensively, more intelligent? Or even consider, how can I improve my defensive skills knowing that my team isn't really there to help me? Again, the key to better self-talk isn't about faking positivity. It's about changing the perspective from complaining to taking control and constantly seeking new opportunities for growth. So now let's take the time to really put this all together. When you encounter a significant setback, whether that's in your esports career or as a professional player trying to improve your skills, how exactly are you supposed to handle it? Well, the first step is to accept that you'll end up in bad situations. There will definitely be moments where you start to really question if you're on the right path. Now, acceptance that bad things will happen is the position from which you can take action. If you resist it and pretend that everything will always be okay, life's difficulties will hit you much harder. The second key is to make the situation objective. When everything seems to fall apart, your career as an esports player is in jeopardy as you get kicked off a team, or your startup suddenly needs more money to stay afloat, it will feel like the worst case scenario. But is it really? To make this more objective, create a scale of 1 to 10 and place this current situation on that scale. If 1 is nothing and 10 is something permanently life-changing or perhaps death itself, where does the current situation fall on that scale? By taking the time to do this kind of thought experiment, it will help you realize how many things that feel like a 9 or a 10 are really more like a 3 or a 4 and will hardly affect your overall life in the long term. The third step is to create an action plan and figure out the timeline around it. When we experience negative situations, our minds make us feel like that problem and its consequences will last forever. So reconnect with your sense of time and recognize how long it will actually take you to recover from that situation. Perhaps it will take about 3 days of focused effort to regain your rank, or maybe 2 months to recover from a setback in your esports business or with your esports team. Either way, recognize a realistic plan of action and what that timeline actually looks like. Then, as a bonus, make sure that you continue to monitor your self-talk and switch negative complaining into a new self-talk of self-empowerment, recognizing opportunities for growth and taking control of each situation. In an industry as competitive as esports, you need to have a strong mindset. Setbacks, challenges, failures, they will all come your way. But rather than resisting them or letting them sap away your motivation, you should expect them and use them in your favor to build your perseverance. When you take on the advice mentioned in this video, you'll slowly begin to push through setbacks easier and easier. And this is what it feels like to develop mental resilience, the key to perseverance and the key to success, not only in esports, but in every area of your life. So take on the mindset of the samurai Musashi. Rather than wishing for an easy path, begin to wish for and embrace adversity. Then use that adversity to get stronger and stronger until you finally achieve success in esports. If you guys enjoyed this video, then I got something pretty exciting for you. This included just a few clips from an amazing conversation I had with Jason, and you can check out that entire conversation with the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. In that conversation, you'll learn a ton about his mindsets, the business side of esports, and a few fun tangents that we kind of went on. And while you're checking that out, you can also look at Jason's YouTube channel and his social media. I'll leave links for both of those down below, so go ahead and support him there. And if you want more from eAthlete Labs or just want to help support the channel, then also check out the Esports Elite course. It's basically a bootcamp style, step-by-step course for helping you improve your game sense, your mechanical skills, and your mindset. It teaches you a ton about the science behind how to improve most effectively and helps pull it all into a 66-day challenge. So if you want to check that out, learn more, and even see some of the reviews from past students, then I'll leave a link for that in the description and in the pinned comment below. But of course, as always, I hope you guys loved this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.